we're 33, right?
Yep.
So we've known each other since we were 6.
Yep.
That's quite a long time.
That's 27 years. That's 3 times 9.
I can't help thinking, somewhere in the universe, there has to be something better than man. Has to be. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ascension to 10.
All right. Welcome to the show, Ascension to 10. We're back for another episode. Episode 2. Very exciting. I think we forgot in the first episode to give a shout out for the man spinning dials in our introductory song. His name's Bryan, also known as Companyon. You can follow him on the Instas and the webs, socials. Check it out. He's quite talented.
Yep. And
he also does this show.
yeah, rumor has it he'll be on the show
Someday.
Not today, though. He is, I mean, savvy listeners will have seen him on the thumbnail.
Yeah.
So he's the
Definitely.
third person. We're not going to say which one of us is which. Now, that assumes that anyone in the audience doesn't already know who we are. But
I mean, there's going to be a lot of people learning who we are.
yep. So, yeah, maybe next time we'll get Bryan onto the air. But for tonight, you're stuck with just us.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into the topic, something I wanted to mention last time, Spenny, is we've known each other since first grade, right?
Yep.
Because I don't think we were in the same kindergarten class. The
No, I
morning shift,
Were you?
afternoon shift, or whatever.
I was AM. So
Yeah, and I can't remember. I guess I was PM because I don't remember you. And which means that if you think about it, we're 33, right?
yep.
So we've known each other since we were 6.
Yep.
That's quite a long time.
That's 27 years. That's 3 times 9.
All right. How could you
Let's
argue
quick
with
math.
that? I don't know. I don't know how you could argue with that.
I think
It's not entirely relevant for the topic of today.
no, not at all.
But what is relevant, and I think where I was going with this, is that we've known each other a long time. We've have a lot of experiences together, a lot of memories, and yet somehow the topic of the day is a bit of a dividing point for us. We have what I would argue as perhaps the 2 best memories in our friend group in terms of useless events and arcane knowledge, in terms of what people have said and what people have done as we grew up. So as the 2 de facto authorities on our larger friendship group history,
Right.
we cannot agree on the topic at hand, which is the movie John Carter.
Yeah, the real controversy is each one of us thinks the other one was super hyped to watch John Carter. And then
Yep.
which, spoiler, that's the movie we're going to talk about today. And one of the big things is neither of us have seen it. We watched it this week. So there's always been this kind of presumption that the other one has already seen it and was,
Yeah, why don't you tell your side of the story here, as best you remember?
Yeah, so, I mean, from what I remember, Jad was super excited to watch John Carter, and he was really excited to see it, heard that there was a big budget going to the back of this thing, and he went and saw it, and he was just totally disappointed.
along with the rest of America.
Yes.
Okay, let me paint the audience a different picture. It's 2012, or I guess, okay, let me pull up a little thing here. It came out in 2012.
Right.
I can't remember exactly when, although that's probably not important. The point is, 2012, we had graduated college. We went our separate ways for college after high school.
Yep.
Obviously, we remained friends. And so getting together at that point in time was more of an event kind of thing. It didn't happen all the time. And in 2012, were you in Kansas already?
Yep.
Okay.
Already in Kansas City.
Okay. So here's how I remember this going down. Spenny texts the group saying, next time we're together, we have to check out John Carter. It's going to be the best movie of the year. It's going to be the best movie of the year. We have to see it together. We haven't seen each other since the last major meetup. Crickets. Sends it to the group chat. Just nothing. And I didn't. I saw the trailers. I still remember seeing the trailers. Actually, I can remember scenes and thinking the whole time wondering why this movie was made and that it's going to flop. It's going to be terrible. And I just couldn't break it to Spenny that he's hyped for nothing. He's hyped for no reason. And it wasn't until last week, right?
Yeah.
February of 2022 that this gets brought up again, and neither one of us can agree on what actually happened. And we have distinct memories of the exact opposite. So somehow we are both right and we're both wrong at the same time. And I guess the resolution was that we both agreed to see it. And this is the episode 2 content.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that was amazing after watching this and kind of doing a little history on it. So this is based on a book.
I found that out tonight too.
Princess of Mars.
Yep.
It came out exactly 100 years after the book was made. It was made in 1912, and then it came out in 2012.
Do you think that's what drove the hype for the release?
I have no idea. Probably. I mean, it has something to do with it. The other thing that was interesting is back in 2009, there was like an indie film made, and it was called, I think it was called Princess of Mars 2, but it was a modern take. So it was like a modern Navy SEAL in today's time with the same kind of,
what?
Same kind of timeline.
What?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously we never saw it, so I have no idea.
Okay.
But I just thought that was interesting. And the thing that I remember when it came out, so this had a budget of $250 million. And just to give you context, Tremors 6 was made with $4 million.
$3.5 million of that, by the way, was just thrown away, and they just made do with $500,000. I'm convinced.
I mean, from what I read, the actors from Tremors 6 had to take a pay cut just to get the stupid thing made.
Oh,
so. Anyways.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So back to John.
I feel like
Carter.
we're gonna. Tremors 6 is the gift that keeps on giving. I think we're gonna
just gotta keep
fill the
referencing
show with a lot of that. All right. Okay. Continue.
Okay.
But high budget.
Yeah. And so let me read the names off of the people in this movie.
Yeah.
We got Taylor Kitsch, William Dafoe,
Taylor
Kitsch. Taylor Kitsch. Sorry.
Taylor
Kitsch, William Dafoe, Dominic West, Bryan Cranston is in this.
Wait a minute. Willem Dafoe.
William Dafoe is in this movie.
What is it? Extra?
No.
In the crowd or something?
We'll get to it.
Okay.
He plays the king of the Tharks.
Oh, okay. So CG. Okay,
Well,
so
yeah,
he's a voice
okay,
actor.
so these are people.
Okay.
There's also Thomas Hayden Church is in it. David Schwimmer, John Favre is in this.
Are those all?
Did you know that?
No.
Could you hear by the voice? I had no idea.
Oh, okay. So those are all voice actors.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that's a decent pedigree.
Yeah.
A decent cast. Dr. Octopod or whatever from one of the Spider-Mans is in the. I don't know his name, the actor's name, but he played Dr. Octopod.
Ciaran Hinds.
He's the king.
Ciaran Hinds. I think that's his name.
Okay.
Anyways.
And also, I think unlisted, because I looked at IMDb too, and I also was confused with Willem Dafoe. I just kind of assumed that was an error. There's one scene in the beginning where he's in this, the main character's in this bar, and the bartender looked really familiar to me. I couldn't figure out why. Do you know do you remember this person?
Well, yeah, I remember the character, but I can't think of.
Okay.
It wasn't memorable.
He was in That 70s Show as Donna's dad. I'm pretty sure he was Bob. He was Bob.
He's Bob.
And because his face looked so familiar, but obviously he wasn't wearing 70s attire. And which was not revealed at all by IMDb. I think he was completely uncredited.
Maybe he wasn't paid, so.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, okay, so that's interesting. You know, when I found that it was a book, it made me wonder. Well, I started to wonder if the hype was because it was a popular book at the time. I had never heard of it.
I hadn't
maybe
either.
it was a big deal, and maybe old school sci-fi readers would know this. But it then made me realize that maybe this was their Dune, Disney's Dune, or something.
Well,
This was such a.
So there's from what I read, it looked like there is a series of books that this person wrote.
Okay.
And it started off very similar to how Dune started, because Dune started off, wasn't it in a magazine that they started those? Like he was reading on a weekly page, and I think that's how these books, the Princess of Mars and stuff, started.
Interesting. I don't
But,
recall that at all.
well, anyways,
Should we jump into it?
Yeah, let's jump into it. So this movie starts with an epic battle, fly battle, right?
Fly battle.
A flying battle.
Fly battle.
Flying battle on Barsoom, aka Mars. And there's this guy, Sabthon, and he's chasing down the people from Helium, and then all of a sudden he is boarded by these people that look like white nightwalkers.
Yeah, I call them space nerds.
Space nerds. That works too.
In my notes. Okay. Okay. Now this is a style of sci-fi that I have always hated, and it's the following: a combination of advanced and ancient technologies working together. So, Spenny said fly battle. There's these hovercrafts that are operated using pulleys and levers.
Yeah.
And and then the people are fighting each other with swords on these hovercrafts. But then there's also these anti-grav elements, and then these space nerds come out of nowhere. To no surprise either. I don't think it was a surprise to them. They just kind of recognized them for who they were. So this third party, I guess, there's the two warring factions here. Humanoids. We should make that apparent at the start. They're humanoids, human in every appearance. Mm-hmm. And then other human-looking space nerds come in and give this one homie a weapon.
It looks like a 3D printer thing that just goes on his arm.
Yes. Okay. That's what I was. I think thinking in my head, but I couldn't.
Yeah, it's like a blue cage that goes on his arm. Yeah, and then all of a sudden it kind of like becomes part of him, and then he's able to have these superpowers where he can like shoot lasers and stuff.
So that's all it does, right? It just kind of shoots.
I think so.
Some light.
Which apparently is very powerful there.
Yeah.
But so that happens. He gets his power, and then all of a sudden it flashes to New York City in I assume, late 1800s, early 1900s. There's no cars, but there's trains.
Said 1886, I think.
1886. Okay. Couldn't remember. But it goes to our main character, John Carter appears, and he sends a telegraph to his nephew, Ned.
Yep.
And in the background, you see one of those guys following him.
Yeah, but you don't know. It's some guy. Later we find out it's a space nerd.
Right.
Because they can disguise themselves.
So then the nephew is on a train with the little message saying, "Hi, Ned." And he's going to John Carter, his uncle. They look like they're brothers, but apparently it's his uncle. Yeah,
it was a bit strange for me to kind of decipher what was happening, because it almost seemed like John Carter at that point was really old, had died from old age.
Yeah,
right?
that was kind of...
Yeah, because he had this study and he was super rich, and because up to this point you just saw John Carter as a young man or a young adult. Yeah,
I haven't even seen him yet.
30-something. Yeah.
Well, yeah, just
him,
in the telegraph. Yeah.
Then,
right.
So, okay, so he's dead, and then the nephew inherits his fortunes and his private journal.
Yeah, the butler's telling him all these stories and how he was, for the last 10 years, had been searching and digging. And he's dead, and he's in a tomb that you can only open from the inside.
Yep.
And he was left, he's basically left everything, and there's a book that he had to read.
Yep, a book. So this kid had to read a book. That was his first, the conditions of his inheritance were that he had to read this book.
Right. All the way through.
It turns out it was his story of the last 13 years or so. So the obvious flashback occurs. It's John Carter and the frontiers of the Wild West.
Arizona.
Yeah, right. And so, okay, he walks into a bar. Now, this is the scene with Donna's dad. And he causes a stir. And he almost gets in a fight. He pulls a gun on the bartender because he wants some stuff.
And he's out of credit.
He's out of credit. Plops down this gold medallion from Legends of the Hidden Tomb or whatever. And all he wants are beans.
Just
Did you catch that? He wants beans.
He's getting ready to go on his magic beanstalk.
Trade you this gold for some beans.
Yes. No,
so,
you're right.
Okay, yeah. Then some... I don't know. Is that U.S. Army cavalry?
Yeah, U.S. cavalry comes in. This is where, he starts fighting with some guys, and then Bryan Cranston comes in. He's a commander, sounded like. And, tell me if I'm crazy, but the sequence of him being caught, trying to escape, trying to escape, it was just, the stupidest thing ever. And of course, finally they catch him and he gets locked up and put in a jail cell. But it was just it was just
him diving through the window.
A
Superman,
yes.
A Superman dive through this window. And then the editing, I think, was a bit clever because you see him airborne going through the window and then landing in a cell. So I like the edit there, but. Yeah, I mean, okay. I had to keep in mind. I had to frame this as a Disney movie the whole time. It was a bit cheesy, and that was a cheesy element for sure.
That's a good point. Yeah,
it did make me laugh a little bit.
Well, yeah, of course it made you. Yeah, of course. Well, this is also the interesting part. Is he wakes up from being beat up or whatever in his cell, and he's trying to get out. And obviously, there's a guy over there eating or something, watching him. And he decides to just pee out the cell.
Yeah, another movie with peeing in it.
Naturally.
As a diversion.
Why
as
not?
A diversion tactic, right?
Yeah, totally.
That's 2 for 2 now.
Look at this.
7 degrees
of Kevin Bacon. 7 degrees of peeing. Anyways,
Yeah.
so he starts peeing, and the guard is like, "Hey, what are you doing? You can't do that."
I left you a bucket.
And he literally just walks up to the cell, and the guy grabs him and just slams him into the thing, and he knocks out, and then he gets the keys and he runs away.
Yep. Okay. Now, next scene is Bryan Cranston is at a mirror. This is at the frontier. He's at a mirror and he's shaving.
Single blade.
Okay. Straight razor. Yep. Okay. I've been shaving with a straight razor for over 10 years now. Okay. It's just a little tidboid for you.
Wow.
Taught myself how to do it. Thought it'd be cool.
Wow.
Haven't gone back.
Such a man.
Well, every single time it's shown in media, it's completely wrong. It's completely wrong, and there's no reason for it to be wrong, right? He's going almost side to. It doesn't matter, but anyways, it's just
It mattered to you though.
It mattered to me because
triggering.
$200 million show budget, and they couldn't get any kind of consultation about how to use a straight razor. Granted, the scene with it was about 3 seconds,
right,
for this 2-hour 14 runtime. So,
I mean, I remember it, but
you remember it, right?
Yeah,
and that's what you.
Of course, he cut himself.
You kind of think is and then he cuts himself. That wouldn't have happened had he been using proper technique. Anyways. Next.
So he's running away. He steals Bryan Cranston, the commander's horse, and he's running away.
And his coat for some reason. Did you catch why? He's in the desert.
Yeah, I don't know. And so he's running away, and then they're all horsing up to go chase him. And then you get over this hill, and you see that he's talking to Apache Indians in Apache, and you don't know what they're saying. But Bryan Cranston's getting concerned, thinking there's going to be a battle or something. His second in command already has his gun out. And John Carter keeps telling him, just hold on. And the second in command just can't wait any longer because he doesn't know what's happening. So he just takes a gun and shoots one. And then all hell breaks loose, and they start shooting each other. Classic. And somehow Bryan Cranston's character falls off his horse.
Honestly, I had no idea what happened because at some point they were at that confrontation, and then at another point, the next thing I remember seeing is that Bryan Cranston is on the back of, or John Carter's carrying him.
He's carrying him, and for some reason they're all chasing them.
Yeah,
that he's like running now. They're in a desert, and all of a sudden now they're in like a canyon area, and they're being chased. And then John Carter's like, "Well, I've got 2 people on my horse, so I'm just gonna jump off here." And so they jump off, and it happens to be perfectly where the spider cave is that he was referencing in the beginning.
Okay, I have 2 notes on this scene. One, there is a moment when they're walking through the canyons where I swear it's a stunt double for Taylor Kitsch.
Oh, it could be.
He looks completely different, and all they're doing is just carrying Bryan Cranston. And the other thing is, they have him in so much mascara for that canyon scene that he looks like Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
He doesn't have eye makeup at all for the rest of the movie. It's just that canyon scene.
Right.
And then something happens where they're in this canyon, and then the Native Americans find them,
and they're like,
approach them. Is it the cave that they're afraid of?
I think it's the cave. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they see the marking on the cave that has like a spider. It looks like a spider.
Okay.
And so he and Bryan Cranston actually go into the cave trying to like stay away from them.
Okay. Yeah. And then he thinks there might be gold there or something.
Well, yeah, no, he goes in. Bryan Cranston's sitting at the entryway and is like, because Bryan Cranston got shot. That's why he was on the back of the horse. I don't know if we said that.
Oh, okay. I don't know that.
So then he's John Carter's looking around the cave, and he just sees gold like in the rocks everywhere, and he sees these weird like markings and stuff. And then all of a sudden, one of these guys, these future nerds, alien nerds, they're called thirds.
Space nerds.
They're called thirds, right?
Thirds, nerds.
Yeah. One of them shows up, and they're both like, whoa! whoa, you're not supposed to be here. And so a battle begins between the two of them, and they're wrestling, and then John Carter is able to shoot him, kills him.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, Space Nerd has a magic, right? He has anti-grav and teleportation and stuff, and
He's got a medallion.
He's using a medallion, and he's using a little switchblade.
Right.
And then this reminded me of one of the Indiana Jones movies. Do you remember where they're in that square and they're in that city square, and there's a standoff, and that one guy's waving his sword around, as a to intimidate Indiana Jones, and he just shoots him. That's basically what this scene was.
It was.
Space Nerd gets shot. Okay, so, and then I guess okay, so he mutters something as he's dying, and then John Carter happens to be holding the medallion, and that's what transports him to Mars.
Yeah, because he's trying to go back. I assume he's trying to go back to Mars.
Okay.
There's a phrase that they say.
Yeah.
Well,
So
all of a sudden John Carter is transported because he's holding the medallion at the same time, and he is suddenly on another desert.
Yeah. With plants and stuff, and
it happens to be Mars.
Happens to be Mars, and he stumbles around.
Yeah. Okay. So, is that really how you would walk if there was low gravity?
No.
He looked like
He's flying.
Yeah, he looked
He's
like
flying
he was.
around.
It looked like he was trying to lean all his weight forward and then just run, and he just kept falling.
Yeah, he keeps falling.
But
Which is a bit ironic that when he first gets there, the only thing he can do is fall. When as the longer he's there, he continues to kind of fly, right? Because he can jump around. But yeah, I mean, so Mars is about a third of the gravity on Earth.
So that's probably so you probably couldn't jump 90 feet in the air if it's a third.
I don't think so, considering the moon is, I think, a sixth of gravity, and there you just kind of popped around. Who knows? We don't know.
Well, anyways,
no one's been there.
He keeps trying to figure it out, and eventually he does, and he starts jumping, right?
Yeah.
And then he jumps, and then he lands on this rock, and then he
finds some frog kids.
He finds a nest of these weird animals, and then all of a sudden he sees them hatching, and then all of a sudden these aliens start attacking him and chasing him.
Yeah. These frog people come up. Now, it's yet again another. So these frog people are shooting laser guns.
Yep.
But are riding animals like horses and have bone tools, I guess, for lack of a better.
Well, to be fair, they do say they don't like to fly later on.
Okay, that's true.
So
yeah, they don't like to fly, but they do like using laser blasters.
But then they see John Carter jump after they start shooting him, and they're like, "Whoa, this guy's from another planet."
So they don't. This is confusing. They don't know what to call him, even though they're on the same planet as those humanoids. He looks just like him. And you come later to find out that the frog people know all about the war that's happening between the other humanoids.
Right.
But they have no idea who he is or what he is.
They keep trying to, they're trying to talk to each other in two different languages.
Yeah.
Virginia.
So, okay, so he gets captured by the frog people.
Naturally.
He goes to the frog camp.
Cuts away. Oh, yeah, because he thinks that they're trying to get him still because he can't understand them. Yeah. So then he tries to steal their weapon, and then he gets shot in the butt or the leg. Yep. And he ends up on the back just like Bryan Cranston did.
Wouldn't you know it?
Connecting.
Comes full circle here.
And then it flashes forward to this girl, and she's talking to she keeps referencing the goddess, but I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
But she's working on some technology that can change the world. Does she call it the ninth ray? Does she call it the ninth ray yet?
Ninth ray.
Yeah.
She called it blue light.
Blue light.
She could generate blue light. I guess that is something else on Mars. I don't know.
Yeah. And then she's trying to figure this out because she's like practicing a speech she's going to tell her dad about what she's going to do to save the battle, because her world and the evil world are clashing. And then dad walks in with his crew, and she's like, Dad, what happened? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to give you up to the bad guys because you got to save Helium.
Yep.
Helium is the place of the people that are from the blue. And then there's another place called Zodanga.
That's Red Team.
Team
right?
Red. This Red versus Blue.
Yeah, Team Red. Red versus Blue. And so she says, nah, I'm not doing that. But that appears to be the end of it.
She tries to show him what he can do, and then it just like breaks. And then it...
Because a space nerd sabotages it.
White Walker. White Walker shows up, and he's like, yeah, I control the future of the planet. Don't worry, I disarmed her.
Yeah.
And that's the end of it, right? And then it just moves back to John Carter.
He's back with the frog people.
Back with the frog people. They throw him off. He's got things on his arms. He's got cuffs. Is that what it was? And they're like giving away these little alien bugs, little things, and John Carter. And they're just saying like, here's what we found, take it. And then it turns out like the king is trying to get John Carter to jump to show all the people what he can do. But he refuses to. So he gets mad. They take him, put him in jail, take all his clothes, shave his beard. Someone gives him a drink of water or something, and he gets hallucinating, passes out, wakes up, and all of a sudden he can hear everything people say. Yeah, he can speak their language.
That was language juice.
Turns out that the lady that helped him understand them wasn't supposed to do that or something. And
yeah, it didn't seem like she was given clear instructions, really.
No. And
was just kind of tasked with
sounds like she's quite the rule breaker, though.
Yep.
Because after that, they find out that she gave him this, and she gets branded, and she doesn't have enough. She's down to like no skin left to get branded.
Yeah, I think it's some kind of system where it's 48 strikes and you're out kind of deal. And depending on the size of your back,
should be enough.
Depending on the
but
yeah. And so then, I mean, it sure looks like he's going to get branded, but then he just doesn't.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like the thing was ready to just put him in his back, but guess not.
And then, there's, let's see, it's not really that interesting from here on out, except that the King Frog was so endearing when he first met John Carter.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. It's just so fascinating.
He quickly becomes less endearing when he's with his other frog people.
The Tharks.
Yeah. And okay. So they're, I don't know, they're just chilling, I guess. And then some human hovercrafts arrive in the area.
Yeah, they just everything and all of a sudden they're about to brand him, and then all of a sudden that's right. A hovercraft shows up. A blue hovercraft. A helium
hovercraft. And a red hovercraft.
And a Zodanga hovercraft.
And they're what'd you call it at the beginning? Fly battles?
Fly battles. Yep.
Fly battles. And the frog people are excited about this because they don't really care who wins, I think, as long as they kill enough of each other.
Right.
Sounds like.
Yep. It's not their problem because they're not attacking them.
Yeah.
So.
I think they're on the side of whoever's going to win.
So,
but hold that note because it then changes. But anyway, somehow John Carter sees that the princess is dangling from this hovercraft rod, and he goes up and jumps and saves her.
I mean, it's like 2,000 feet in the air.
It's 2,000 feet in the air, and then later in the movie, he has to jump to this specific point on this city, and he said, "I'm supposed to jump there," and it's maybe
half of
a few hundred feet. And in this scene, when he's still discovering his abilities and capabilities, he jumps up to the mesosphere and captures the princess. And so, but it's not only that he can jump far; it's that he can also land from anywhere.
Yeah, like it's
right?
The gravity's so light that he can just fall and land on his feet.
Or his muscle density and bone density are such that they will
absorb
everything.
This scene was cool because after he saves the princess, like he jumps back up and starts fighting.
Okay.
All those Zidonga guys.
Okay. Did you notice? I had a hair in my mouth.
Not relevant.
Okay.
It's great coming from straight edge boy, straight razor boy.
Right. Okay. He only observes her participation in this conflict as someone dangling from the end of a hovercraft rod, right? Okay. Up until that point, he had no idea who she was or from what ship she came from. So he doesn't know if she's red or blue. Okay.
She's being chased.
Oh, okay. Well, because my confusion was that he then jumps back onto the hovercrafts and just starts demolishing red people.
Yeah, so
having no information at all.
I think her dad was going to have her get married to this Santhon guy, and she's running away with the ship, and then they're chasing her, and one of those white night walkers is telling him, "You can't kill her because we need her for the complete this mission."
But from John Carter's perspective, he sees these hovercrafts.
Damsel in distress. He's from the Civil War.
A damsel in distress. But then he arbitrarily chooses which ship to go back to and start destroying. He has no reason to jump back up there.
And he's not colorblind.
You're saying reds are the obvious choice to attack. Just default attack. Any red. If blue is the other option.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's as far as it gets. Then. That's
yeah.
And
then she becomes a frog prisoner, and then he, I guess, goes back and then the frogs start shooting both ships, and then they down.
Yeah.
Frogs down both ships,
but
the main bad guy gets away somehow.
Yeah, he escapes on I think there was more than 2 ships, but anyways, he gets away, but the princess is saved by the green people and John Carter. John Carter gets bestowed with some warrior status with the Tharks.
Yep.
And then the lady that gave him the water, her name's Sala, the alien girl of the Thark. They all go to some temple that they're not supposed to go to, and they look at some readings on the wall. The readings on the wall tell them they need to go to some specific place, the river Is.
Yeah.
And then they get trapped because they broke the rules. But then the king lets them go. And they go on some 3-day mission. And then you assume something's going to happen to the king that let them go. But they're on this 3-day mission looking for this river Is. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So they get to the river.
Which it's like, bing, bang, found it.
found it, having gone the wrong direction the whole time, akin to Dumb and Dumber, right? When they go the wrong direction.
Yep.
They go the wrong direction, and then the next scene is that they're at the river.
Yep. And they just instantly know they're going to go down this river and find what they're looking for.
This was all a bit. I didn't really understand what the purpose of any of this was.
Honestly, it all felt really rushed. I feel like there was a lot of detail that was in these next few scenes that I couldn't grasp because it was going so fast.
Yeah, so they get to, I don't know, they find some stone tree thing. It looks like a tree, and they go in, and then it's his he has this medallion the whole time, right? And then it turns into the blue 3D printed stuff, and then it tells them that, oh, he's from Earth, like you said, but the princess tells him that, okay, you were basically faxed over here. She's a scientist or something, right? Yeah, we covered that. So she understands all this, but then she's like, no, we got to go back to my home. And he said, I don't want to, because I'm not I don't choose sides. I don't choose sides except my own.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to get back to Earth, get my gold.
Yeah, but all this is happening. They find out about the 9 points, which is the spider we thought we were seeing. And somehow that gets them like excited, and they kiss, and all of a sudden he has a flashback to his wife back from the Civil War, which will
I mean, the whole time it seemed like the 9th ray thing, or was just the planets.
Yeah,
right? Because
it is
basically a solar system. And Pluto's not a planet anymore, so there's only 8 planets, and it's
But 1912, it probably was a planet.
Yeah, but not in 2012.
Well, yeah,
when this movie came out. Oh, I see, in the book, right?
Yeah, come on,
right?
Keep up.
Okay.
But anyways, he had a flashback to his past life, and then it flashes back to his wife, and then
for a millisecond.
Yeah, for 1 second. And then it's all of a sudden there's these other people waiting on the side of this river ready to attack them.
Yeah, different frogs.
The war hoons.
So yeah, Space Nerd
summons the army.
Coerced these other faction of frogs, and they capture him basically. Or no, they don't capture him. John Carter kills about 10,000 of them by himself.
10,000 of them. Not an over exaggeration. It was just a constant melee.
Yeah. And then the princess's dad shows up, he saves the day. He kills all the rest of the frogs, and I think some scatter away, but then John Carter's dead or something.
Well, so John Carter's at the bottom of this pile, and then there's just like these flashbacks he has of like his wife and his kid getting killed, and he's burying their bodies. Yeah. It was, I don't know.
No. That was before he fought. So he had those flashbacks, and then because they were running away together.
Oh, that's right.
And he said, "No, keep going. I'm gonna, I already lost someone I care about. I'm gonna make sure that doesn't happen again." So he sacrifices himself, takes out basically the whole army.
Except eventually he gets buried under a bunch of guys because there's too many of them.
Yep. Blue team shows up.
Yeah.
But
last helium ship shows up. Pew 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 pew.
He brought the red guy. They're gonna marry. He's gonna get his daughter married and end this war.
Yep. And Sabthon convinces the girl to go with. John Carter's taken prisoner because they find him.
Yeah, I guess they just assume he's alive or something.
I don't know.
They don't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Next scene, he just wakes up in a 5-star suite with like 6 guys watching him.
Yeah, so he wakes up in a red. Yeah, he wakes up in a suite, not chained or anything, but a whole bunch of red people, red guards are guarding him. I don't know. There's one of the extras there. He said something like, where am I? And then this one guard just said, shut up. Did you catch that? It's just one guy in the middle, not the guy closest to him, not the guy in the foreground.
Right.
One guy basically in the background. Shut up. And then, it's a blue guy comes in or whatever, and then this is the scene they escape, and then this is the scene where he has to jump to this specific location that's very doable given what he's just done.
Yeah.
What he's done up to this point.
Right.
And but he said, I don't think I can do it. How bad do we want to do this? And then, yeah, they do it. He
misses a little bit, but then he springboards and shoots him. He misses it, falls down, regroups, launches himself up.
He launches himself up, hits some kind of windowsill or something, and then yeets off of a hovercraft.
Yeah,
some guy's just cruising around
just
by
a subtle
himself, right?
little to make sure you get up there.
He goes out of his way to do that too.
Oh, totally,
completely
just
in the wrong direction,
just to show off,
just to nail this poor sucker on his hovercraft minding his own business.
It turns out the guy that wanted him come, it was the princess's guard. So she's up, and he meets the princess up there. She's getting ready for her wedding to this bad guy.
Yeah, she figures out how to send him home, and it's just you just say something into the medallion.
Yep,
and he, she's saying, I'm setting you free, but please stay, kind of thing.
Right.
And it appears as though he went back to Earth. She is resigned to her fate. She will marry for the good of the land.
Of helium.
So something happens, I guess, and then
he jumped up, so he was hiding in her suite.
Right. Oh yeah.
And he comes out of the front door, and then he sees this lady who looks like one of the servants to his girlfriend or whatever her name is, and turns out that it's one of these Therns, one of these night walkers, one of these space nerds, but it's like the main one. And he does something. He stabs him with one of those something with the blue ray, and it freezes him, and then he's taken prisoner. The only thing I could compare this to is the Bene Gesserit from Dune.
Interesting. The character himself.
Yeah. Just that scene where he's kind of got this paralysis. I feel like that's something they would do. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you learn that they're kind of in charge of keeping the balance, which is also Bene Gesserit. The whole point of this is they control the past, the future, and the balance, and they're kind pulling the strings of
civilizations around the universe, I guess. And yeah, it seemed a little. This is something that I assume was more fleshed out in the book, because
it's very confusing.
In this context, from what I gathered from it, they know that Mars is going to die soon, because, well, there's no apparent civilization on Mars in present day, right? So they're aware that Mars is dying, and they've even said that. They even said that we're not the cause of Mars dying, but we're going to allow it to happen. And so they're orchestrating these kind of political maneuvers in this war. They orchestrated this war so that the princess, who is going to discover this new technology, I guess, doesn't do that. And so, because I guess they want Mars to die, seems like.
Yeah.
They had a civilization, and that it's time for them to go.
Yep.
Ostensibly so that they don't challenge them, the space nerds, in the future. So yeah, it's kind of weird, because he kind of the space nerd parades John Carter around and tells him all of this. He just discloses his whole plan.
Yep.
And he's parading him around this, whatever, I don't know, moving city or something. And, so then his John Carter's dog saves him. We never mentioned that.
Yeah,
He
we
has
forgot
this
to
dog.
mention once he learns to speak the language of the Tharks, he has this dog that, I mean, all I can say is it's Jabba the Hutt with 4 legs, and it's fast as Sonic the Hedgehog.
It's okay, and it also is basically the equivalent of Doug from Up.
Yeah.
So it's Doug in that looks like Jabba the Hutt,
Right.
but can move like Sonic. It basically saves the day because he saves
Yeah, it totally.
John Carter. And
He bites. Doesn't he
and
bite his
so-
medallion that breaks it, and then John
Yeah,
gets
something
out of
like
his
that.
paralysis? And this goes back to he's basically getting on what I mean. What's
like a steampunk
what's
type
the
hovercraft?
Yeah, what's
thing,
the speeder?
right?
What's the speeder on Planet Hoth?
Oh, just a speeder.
Speeder. Okay.
Yeah, he basically gets on it. It's almost identical.
Yeah, except
Um,
it's more rudimentary
Except
because it has dials.
It's a freaking hovercraft that runs off of light, and he has to pull these levers and stuff, and it's ridiculous. But so he escapes, but he escapes back into the desert.
Yeah, he goes back to the Tharks because he's like trying to get them to help him.
Oh, right.
Because
And then-
he's trying to save the princess and overturn the
Oh, but he needs an army. He needs an army. Right.
Naturally.
Okay. So he goes back to the frogs, and
He thinks he's going to talk to the Tharks king, but turns out he's been beat up.
in a Sarlacc pit, basically in a Sarlacc pit
Yep.
from Star Wars. Because it's almost seen for shot here, because he gets tossed down into this pit, and you see this great cage go back over the opening, and the one guard goes, huh, and walks away, just like in Star Wars. And then it's basically a pit battle.
Yep.
The giant monster, except there's 2, and something about
It's
I don't know. Oh, okay. So this is one scene that I remember still from the trailer, is that he basically punches through one of these monsters and who has blue blood.
Yep.
And that is, I think, the thing I remember about the trailer is that he's covered in blue ooze.
Yep. Yeah, it's these. All I can call them is they're called white apes, I think is what they call them in the movie. But it's like a white ape, but with like 6 legs, and they're
he's blind.
blind. And they kind of make the noise of like a elephant. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, of course he kills them both, even though they try to, lock his leg down so he can't jump. He figures out a way to break it, and then he's able to swing a boulder the size of a planet at one of these and crash it. And the best thing about this whole thing is he kills those 2 monsters, and immediately he challenges the new king. And the new king's like, yeah, let's do this. He jumps down. John Carter slices his head off. That's it. That was the end of it.
Midair.
Midair. He didn't even get to the ground to fight. This was just so funny. So, of course, he's like, the new hero of the people.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you happen to notice during that pit scene where every single element of John Carter being in that pit was him on a chain.
Yep.
Right. But several times they showed the chain anchored to the rock, and it's just this loop that he could have just pulled. It's a weird detail, right?
Yeah.
It's why put that in there? Why animate this chain and intentionally have it be an open chain that he could just slip the ring around?
Yep.
What purpose does that serve? And that was a decision that they made, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
In the animation. And so I don't know. Obviously he doesn't discover this fact.
Does it matter?
So what does that leave it? It's this weird, is it even an Easter egg? Is it a goof or something?
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was interesting. That's a good point. But then he gets these people and he's like, we're going to take the army and we got to go protect Helium. We got to go to the wedding. And so
We're gonna save the princess.
So he takes the whole group to Helium, and he gets there.
No.
Or-
Not Helium.
Oh, Zaganda.
They go to the wrong
They go
place.
to the wrong place. Doesn't even matter which one they go to. They went to the wrong one. So then he's like, "Oh crap!"
And it's this epic scene of them charging in on their horses, and they
like
blast through the city gates, and there's no one there.
They grab some market lady, and she's like, "I don't know that
just some vendor.
they're at the wedding in Helium."
Where are they? Tell me where they are. Tell me where they are right now. Where's everyone? Where's the red guy? They're at the wedding.
At the wedding at the other place.
Where's the wedding? I didn't get an invitation, so I don't know where this.
I mean, it was a 50-50 shot, so
yeah.
So, anyways,
and yeah,
these Starks, as we know, don't fly. They ride animals. So he's like, "Well, crap! How am I gonna get to the wedding before this?"
He goes through this whole spiel, a whole ordeal of gaining an army. He goes to the wrong place, takes the army to the wrong place, and then leaves by himself.
He left by himself on one of his speeders.
Yeah,
and he gets there.
He crashes the wedding.
He's getting there.
Okay,
yeah.
Go
ahead.
So, there's this opulent wedding ceremony. Something about. So Mars has 2 moons, 2 satellites, Phobos and Deimos, I think. Now, the light is a constant source of. Well, it's a small source of information about. Light is how they power all their stuff, right? Because they basically all their hovercraft things have little tiny solar panels, ish.
Yep.
And so they use light as propulsion and whatnot. So light is very important to them. And then at this particular day, this wedding is happening at night, and it will be under the dual full moon light of the 2 moons of Mars. Now, okay, that's cool. And they show the shots of the 2 moons. Mm-hmm. Deimos is tiny compared to Phobos. Phobos also being tiny. And I mean, cool. It's cool, but like the straight razor thing, there's small details about the fact that Deimos is really only visible on Mars from the equator. So let's just assume they're on the equator of the planet, okay? And it would appear as would have the same apparent size as how we see Mercury. It just happens to be the brightest star / planet in the sky, but they're showing this like giant moonbeam of moonlight raining down onto this wedding to bless it in holy moonlight, and Phobos wouldn't be that much better. I digress. It was, this is a Disney movie. I do keep have to remind myself of that, but
yeah, that's
not quite factual.
But then John Carter, they're drinking water that symbolizes they're getting married, and the princess and Sabthon, and right as she's about to say "I do" and drink the water, John Carter comes crashing in.
Through all the glass and stuff.
Guys?
Hey, remember me?
Breaks in, saves the day. Then a battle comes out. They knock over the thing that's full of the water, which is some sort. They didn't talk about it, but I think it was important in some way. And then a battle breaks out because outside of the city limits, there is a giant army of Zodongas waiting to attack Helium.
Yep. And this was all as orchestrated by the space nerds.
Yep.
I don't know why they had to get married. Because remember, the whole point was that she would die so that they don't advance their technology. But they kept her alive long enough for her to get married so that the entire blue city could be destroyed.
Yep. It doesn't make sense. I was hoping you would understand it. And you didn't either, so that's good.
I think that's it. Yeah. That's about it.
But then, so the battle breaks out, and I mean, it's an intense battle.
There's shape shifting. There's swords. Again, just go back. Some people have pistols. Some people have swords.
Well, yeah, John Carter's
And then-
Helium and John Carter are fighting the Zodongas, and like the Zodongas are winning because they weren't. I mean, Helium wasn't prepared for it, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, flies in the Tharks.
Frogs.
Somehow they take all the ships from Zodonga and they fly to Helium.
Yep.
They knew how to get there.
Yep.
That's good.
Yep.
And they start working on the side of the Heliumanites. And John Carter cuts off Sabthan's arm, which is the one that had the 3D printed thing.
Yep.
And the main...
something
space nerd, like, kills him, basically.
Oh yeah, he shoots some blue goo at him, and he disintegrates.
Yes.
And then he did the same to John Carter, but then something saved him, and I don't know why. I don't remember.
He
how
was
got
saved by
from
the
goo.
princess. The princess stopped the other one, and then John Carter jumps up there. The other one shape shifts into the princess. If you remember this, and she has the medallion, tries to run away, and the actual princess says, "I'm getting away."
Yeah, as in, okay, that would have been okay. The space nerd shape shifts to look like the princess.
Yep.
Now, that seemingly sets up a conflict for John Carter of knowing which princess to believe, which princess to attack.
Right.
Okay. That's the obvious next step. But no.
Nope.
The space nerd just holds the other princess at sword point and just says, "I'm the space nerd." So there's no point in him shape-shifting because he tells him who he is.
Yep.
But then flees as the princess, but then changes to John Carter and gets a medallion or something.
Yeah, he turns into John Carter, and then the king of the Tharks gives the medallion back, and then all of a sudden that guy disappears, and instantly John Carter marries the princess.
And he uses his wedding ring from his, so he saved his wedding ring from his dead wife, wore them both on his left hand, and then offered that same ring to her in marriage.
Yep. Makes sense.
I don't know. I guess.
Sure.
She understood the custom, at least. So then that night, though, it's wedding night stuff. He's
going out for a midnight stroll after Bedoinkin.
Yeah, I guess that he's now the king of the frogs and the king of the Helios.
He's king of Mars.
So he's dual king. And, but nope. He gets transported back to Earth because the space nerd was hiding the whole time, and he threw his medallion away.
He threw his medallion away because he's like, I don't need this anymore.
I'm staying here.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm staying on Mars. I don't need to go back to Earth. But the minute he did that, he gets sent back to Earth and now has no way to get back to Mars.
Yeah. Yep. The shapeshifter was one of the guards, and then says this phrase and sends him back.
So then he'd spend, 10 years or something.
Yeah, he's back. He shows up back in that cave that he originally came from.
Yeah. So it's been...
As his old self, too. His beard is long and stuff. That was always interesting, too.
Well, because it's not... So, yeah, there was this element where he was sent like a telegram. So his body was still on Earth.
That's right.
And his consciousness was sent. But... it's been, 2 days for him on Mars, but then he goes back to the cave and he's all crusty, and the Bryan Cranston guy's a skeleton.
Yep.
So some time had passed on Earth, and anyways, he makes it his then life mission. So what I didn't understand was that he must have found a bunch of gold somewhere, because then he's super rich and is chartering all these.
I mean, there's nothing's made mention of that, but I have to assume that he somehow utilized that gold that he found in that cave to get back. Because
but there was no gold, though.
In the wall, there was.
Oh, I must have missed that.
Yeah, he looks up at the wall, and it's like a big like river stream of gold in the wall.
Okay.
But anyways, like he realizes, based on one of the comments that the space nerd said, is we're all over the place. So he makes it his mission for the next 10 years to look for those guys, because he knows they're on Earth somewhere, and he's just got to find them. And he starts digging in all the caves that he can find, because he knows he'll eventually find a medallion.
Yeah. Yeah, because the medallion's the thing.
Yep.
So anyways, it looks like he found one, and then he's then it gets back to the timeline where he sends the telegraph to his nephew, and his nephew's coming, and then he fakes his own death, and then he gets put in that tomb because his body here on Earth needs to be protected so that his body on Mars doesn't, go into the Matrix or something.
Yeah, it's a big elaborate plan that the tomb, quote, he can only be opened from the inside. His nephew learns the code, which is his name, Ned, and opens it. Yeah. And it turns out one of those alien nerds is there about to kill his nephew. And then John Carter's behind him, kills the alien nerd, gets his medallion. It's like, thanks, nephew.
Peace. I'm out of here.
I'm going back to Mars. Seal the tomb.
Seal the tomb. Oh, and watch it for me for the rest of your life.
But everything's yours.
Everything's yours, but just watch my tomb.
Yep.
But now here's the thing.
And the movie ends.
That was, the movie ends. He ostensibly goes back, and so that was, I guess, 1886. He knows he's going back to, well, I don't know if he knows this. But, well, the space nerd tells him. The space nerd tells him that Mars is dying.
Yep.
So he knows he's going back to a dead planet.
But he's going to save it. Because they're not. He's going to turn it around.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder if this were ever picked up or if continued or whatever happens in the other books, if modern time Mars is still inhabited by humans.
Well, just so you know, you can get Princess of Mars for free as an ebook on Apple Books. If you really want to know, you can start reading and tell us, But
I'm going to say I might have to pass on that.
Yeah.
I think I might just have to let that one go.
Well, we made it. Okay, so we made it through the movie.
Okay, so this brings us back to, we've been, well, not thinking about it clearly for the last 10 years, but it's been 10 years since we first talked about it.
Yep.
As in, one of us
apparently
was hyped about it. The other one wasn't. What'd you think?
I mean, it was better than Tremors 6.
It was way better than Tremors 6.
I mean, I don't know.
We gotta give it a score, right?
Yeah,
Ascension to 10.
I think with the fact that it's a Disney movie, I think that has to kind of play into this, because there was a lot of cheesy stuff, and that's the hardest thing. Like, if you would have took it as a true sci-fi without knowing it was Disney, I think you would think it's a lot worse.
Yeah. I have to say the visuals were pretty decent. The sound was pretty decent.
Everything was really great. It's just the storyline, which I don't know if that's really the fault of the movie, or if it's just because they decided to base it solely on a book.
Yeah. And it gets back to, if this was a book that everyone knew about.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think enough people knew about the book to warrant hype.
Neither of us knew it was based on a book till after we watched it.
Yeah. And the population that probably did know about the book are at that point, middle-aged at the youngest, I would think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it was 100 years ago.
so-
No one's alive.
Yeah. So who's the audience for this? I don't know. But I'm gonna give it a score. On Ascension to 10,
Yep.
I'll give it a 4.
Mm.
It wasn't that bad.
I mean, it was
All
all
things considered.
it was entertaining. If you're just looking to watch a
Yeah.
movie, I gave it a 3.5, so we were pretty close. But
Wow. All right.
maybe I had higher expectations or something. I don't know. Maybe it was me.
Honestly, I think my expectations were artificially too low,
Yeah.
given the story about how this almost ruined our friendship, not being able to remember
Yeah. No.
who hyped it up or not.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I feel like there's probably 20 minutes too much of it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they focused on weird things for too long. But at the same time, we also talked about there's a lot of things that didn't make sense to us. So
Yeah.
even after watching it.
And this is one of those things where most of the time, if there's an adaptation of a book, sci-fi or fantasy or something, I've probably seen the book, or I've probably read the book.
Yeah.
And so it gets to this weird thing where, do adaptations spend too much time catering to the readers, or do they spend too little time catering to the readers?
Sure.
And more to a more native audience or a naive audience. And it's almost never, there's no right answer.
Yeah.
Pretty much ever.
Well,
And so I don't know. It's an interesting case. I guess they chose such an old book that it probably didn't matter because.
Well, that's why I feel like maybe there should have been. Well, I mean, we haven't read the book, so I can't really say for sure. But I feel like they should have taken a few more creative liberties with how they portrayed the movie. There's a lot of parts that felt like this was probably in a book, so they had to somehow adapt it from a 100-year-old, piece of writing.
Yeah, I don't know. All in all, though, I was
Pleasantly surprised.
Pleasantly surprised, given
Well, that's what you get for $250 million, Jad.
Is that good enough? I don't think so. Yeah, maybe, okay.
It made $280 million in box office, but it costs $250 million to make.
Okay, I'm gonna revise my score. I'm gonna drop it down to a 2.5 because that is, I don't know what that would cost now, but that is $280 million or whatever much you said. Yeah, it's not that great. Wouldn't recommend it. But
that leads us. I picked this movie last week, so it's up to you to pick a movie for next week.
Okay, I have some ideas, and I'm thinking that
good ideas
we should go with this theme, and we can tease it now. This will have a very, very similar intro story as what happened this week, and because that movie is going to be about 10,000 BC.
Stop.
So stay tuned.
10,000. No.
Cue it up. Rent it.
Gosh.
Buy it.
Isn't that on
whatever
Disney
you have
too?
to do. I don't know.
I guess we'll find out.
I haven't done any research on this, but
all right,
you're gonna watch it.
Fine. Whatever.
And you're gonna like it.
Okay. Well, that puts another one in the books for now. Until next week with 10,000 BC. Can't wait for that. I'm sure it's going to be electric.
Stay tuned.
All right. Thanks, everybody.